you are thinking about buying a franchise, then there's a few questions I think you should be asking. And I had this discussion last week with a gentleman who was thinking of buying a franchise, and there was a number of questions that I asked him, and I thought that they'd probably be useful questions for anybody else who was thinking about buying a franchise. Now, on my YouTube channel I do have another video about franchising. I think it's called 30 questions to ask if you're buying a franchise or something of that nature, and I'll link it if I remember in either up here in the video or else in the description. But in this video I just want to take a look at 6 questions that you should be looking at, I think, if you're considering buying a franchise. The first one is, number 1, is it a recognizable brand? So we all know that McDonald's or Burger King or Eddie Rockets or Domino's, Starbucks, these are franchises, and they're recognizable international brands, recognizable international names. People immediately know what they're about and what they do and what they sell, Costa Coffee and so on. But if you are getting a franchise or thinking about purchasing a franchise, for example, for cleaning houses or cleaning offices, or perhaps some sort of a nail bar situation, or some other service or product, then you need to consider whether it's a recognizable brand and whether it's worth the franchise fee as a consequence of that or not. So clearly there always should be an element of recognizability, recognition with any franchise. The second question you need to consider is there a strong system, strong products, strong services with the franchise that you're thinking about buying? When I say a strong system, again, if you are buying, for example, a franchise that has something to do with cleaning, then is there a particular system, particular products, particular equipment that is being used by the franchise, or which will give you an advantage over other cleaning companies? Because if there isn't an advantage, if there isn't a strong system or strong products or strong services to differentiate your franchise from other cleaning companies, what's to stop other cleaning companies from simply providing as good a service or a cheaper service without the franchise fees and so on? So you need to look at the system that's being offered, you need to look at the intellectual property, the training and so on, and see how valuable and how useful it is, and is there genuine value in it, or is it just something that anybody can do? Third question you need to consider is it easy to copy? Again, if I'm going to set up a burger bar or a coffee shop, I can do that with no difficulty, but nobody's going to confuse or mistake my coffee shop or my burger bar with McDonald's or with Starbucks or with Costa Coffee or a strong franchise like that. There will be clear differences. But if I was going to, and people know what they're getting when they go to Costa Coffee, or when they go to McDonald's or they go to Burger King, because they're getting a consistent system and a consistent products and services across the board, consistent branding, consistent uniforms, consistent trademarks, consistent layouts of retail units and so on. But if, for example, again, if I was considering buying, for example, a nail bar franchise or some sort of a beauty salon franchise or perhaps a cleaning franchise, is it easy to copy? Because if it is easy to copy, and if there isn't a recognized brand, if there isn't a recognized system, then why would I buy a franchise? The fourth question you need to consider is, do you need it? Do you actually need the franchise? Again, if you want to set up in business in an endeavour which is going to be low risk, then franchising is certainly the way to go. And if you set up a burger shop, or if you buy a McDonald's, the chances are you're going to be exponentially better off going with McDonald's from the point of view of staying in business for a long, long time. But there is other franchises being offered for various services and products, but particularly services, where you'd have to ask yourself the question, do you actually need the franchise? Again, if you're going to set up a burger bar or burger shop, that's one thing. If you're setting up a McDonald's, that's quite a different ball game. Then you're talking Premier League and you're talking Division 4. But if you again are thinking about buying a franchise which was going to allow you to clean houses or clean offices or clean commercial premises, then you would have to ask yourself the question, do you actually need the franchise? The fifth question you should consider is there many of these franchises trading already, or are you in the very early stages? Are you going to be a guinea pig? Because, you know, a lot of companies have the idea of franchising as a way of generating more profits and as a way of rolling out the brand and rolling out the system and so on very quickly across a geographical area, for example a country like Ireland. But whether the systems are tried and tested, whether they're sufficiently robust or not, would remain to be seen. And if you were early on, if you were a guinea pig in the situation, then you need to consider that, because you may be the one who is like the canary in the coal mine. You may be used as somebody who's flagging up the problems, but that's no great consolation to you, especially if you spent hard-earned money, perhaps redundancy money, in buying a franchise. You really don't want to be a guinea pig. You really do want to see how other people have got on and how they're getting on and what they have to say. That leads me to question number 6 of the 6 questions I'm referring to in this video. What do the others say? What do other franchisees say? The best thing you could do is, if you're thinking of buying a franchise, go and talk to other franchisees and ask them what their experience is. Because when you go and speak to the franchisor, they're going to sell you on the concept, they're going to sell you on the franchise, but the people, and they're going to sell you on spreadsheets and projections and so on and so forth. But bottom line is, you will be very usefully engaged if you go and speak to other franchisees and see what they have to say. What's their experience? What's the franchisor like in terms of support, in terms of advertising, in terms of hand-holding, in terms of training? What's the system like? What's the manuals like? What's the products like? What are the services like? What are the experiences that they've had? What problems do they encounter? So there are 6 questions I think you should be asking if you are thinking about buying a franchise. As I say, I have another video on my YouTube channel, 30 questions which you should ask if you're buying a franchise, and those 30 questions, I think off the top of my head, are of a more technical or legal nature, but it'd be no harm to have a look at that video as well. I will link it up here in this video. Thanks for watching, and if you find this video useful, I would appreciate if you gave it the thumbs up down below. Thank you.